perfectly live.
Meli Kurishimasu is the thing to say on a bright Tokyo Christmas day.
Da 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 da.
Meli Kurishimasu is the thing to say. Blah blah, Merry Christmas to you. That's really not how it sounds. That's not how that song goes at all.
I don't even know what song you're singing right now.
It's Meli Kalikimaka,
Mm,
the Hawaiian Christmas.
the classic traditional Hawaiian tune.
Yes, and definitely not written. Actually, let me.
Yeah, hold on.
Wait, is it? It's probably not. I mean, Hawaiians were Christian, but let me confirm this. I don't want to get my spicy Mele Kalikimaka take wrong.
Don't want that hot take to be
Ah, no, it's written by a man named Robert Alex Anderson.
mm,
I mean, Mele Kalikimaka does mean Merry Christmas
it
in
do.
Hawaiian,
It do.
but uh, it is not. Uh, yeah, Mele Kalikimaka, despite its foreign sound, is a word borrowed directly from English. But since the Hawaiian language has a different phonological system from English, it is not possible to render a pronunciation that is close to Merry Christmas.
Well,
Standard
shit.
Hawaiian does not have R's or S's of English and is phonetic, and its phonotactic constraints do not permit consonants at the end of syllables or
Vanilla
consonant
ice.
clusters. There we go. Banira ice
Oh no,
meri
what the fuck?
kurimatsu.
Oh god.
What was that?
Hold on, it's still going. This is bad.
What's that?
A nightmare. That's what that is.
All right.
Sorry about that.
It's
Let's
all good
mute
in
my
the hood.
phone.
Yes, I'm doing the same.
So, this is the
Yes.
special edition Christmas cast.
Uh, Christmas cast, or if you prefer, the GamePunx Boxing Day Blowout Holiday Spectacular cast,
Oh, hold on.
recorded live but put online on Boxing Day.
GamePunx. What did you call that? I'm writing
The
this down.
game,
That's the name.
the GamePunx Boxing Day Holiday Celebration Podcast Extravaganza. Episode 9.5.
Yeah, because it's not a real episode.
No, exactly. It's our secret special episode because the holidays are a thing, and we are
Super busy.
super busy and
Ridiculously so.
yeah, ridiculously so, and dying. So
Yeah.
this is
I
like
have so much family to see and so little me to see myself with. I mean, that's not what I meant to say, but you get the point.
all right.
Uh,
So
we are
in
4 minutes ahead of time.
yeah, I guess
Nah, we'll be fine.
we'll introduce ourselves at 8.
Yeah, we can just kind of chit
Uh,
chat for now.
hey, what's your favorite Christmas song, Ben?
My favorite Christmas song is
That's a hard one.
I didn't I don't really like Christmas songs.
I like one Christmas song, and that's the Christmas in Killarney, the Irish one,
I don't know
because
that one.
it's kind of cute. It's got nice little cute lyrics. There's a Bing Crosby version, of course, because that's how Bing Crosby rolled.
Mhm.
I think it's even on the White Christmas album.
Oh.
It's the ivy green, the holly green, the prettiest picture
Yeah.
you've ever seen.
That
It's
rings a
Christmas
bell.
in Killarney with all of the folks at home. That one.
Mm.
It's kind of cute. It was written by John Redmond, James Kavanaugh, and Frank Weldon. Performed by many artists, most notably Bing Crosby. I like that one. It's very cute.
Bing
Actually,
Crosby.
honestly, Bing Crosby's Christmas album is pretty good. his classic Merry Christmas from Bing Crosby. It's got some good stuff on it.
Maybe I can
Like
try.
I like Bing Crosby. That's a pretty cute little album. It's like the one Bing Crosby album I've ever actually listened to. That stupid holiday overlay you put.
It's great, dude.
It's so fucking corny. I adore
It's
it.
the best.
That's wonderful. All right.
I figured it was that, or you can slap together a thing.
A Christmas version.
Yeah, but this
I
this
could do
works
either.
fine.
This is cute. I like it. It's corny enough for me. All right. So, I'm Ryan,
And I am Ben. And
we are GamePunx.
Yeah. We
And
usually
this
do this on
is-
Wednesdays, but
Yeah.
again,
Holidays are bad and take up a lot of your time.
gotta
and
go
so-
see family and be sociable and leave your house. What is that?
Also, like Boxing Day is Wednesday this week,
Yeah,
which is
just
a pain in
inconvenient
the
for our
ass.
scheduling, honestly.
Exactly. It's gonna be impossible to fucking get down to your place on that time and
Nope.
to get anything done, honestly, because I'll probably want to go shopping.
Yeah,
'Cause
I'm gonna
it's
want to
Boxing
go
Day,
shopping.
and I like to suffer.
Get in a fight
Uh,
with a mom in a parking lot over a
Oh.
Switch.
Oh shit! Yeah.
That's
I'm
my
gonna
Wednesday.
Clock her over the head and hit her head on the Honda Civic.
Smash your hand in the door. You can't even play the Switch now.
What good is a Switch to you when your hands are broken?
She just looks down. Bakana!
Bakana shine.
Oh, man.
All right, so we figured since there's pretty much no news because it's been not even a week since we last recorded, that we could just kind of talk about all the things that we liked in the year of our Lord 2018.
2018.
Because this year has honestly, despite being one of the biggest, most like soul-sucking, awful, longest 8 billion year feeling years ever, in
It was
terms of
actually
just
pretty good.
being a human. Yeah, in terms of just being a human being and existing and being alive. It has been a good year for media. There's been a lot of good media that has come out that we have enjoyed.
Yes.
And,
To be clear, not all of our favorite things of this year are necessarily came out this year.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
may have
Just
just
stuff
been
that we enjoyed this year.
Yeah, may have been that we time sunk most of it into this year, or just discovered it this year.
Or how about we put it this way? It's the shit that helped us get through this fucking
Yeah,
year.
there you go. That's good.
So our lovely holiday gift to you is just a laundry list of media recommendations.
Yeah, if it's things
Uh,
you already know, good. If it's not, you should probably check them out, because if we're talking
Oh,
about
yeah.
them, they're probably pretty high grade materials of media.
Absolutely. So I guess, I mean, without further ado,
Yeah.
why don't we get right into it?
Yeah.
Do you want to start with TV?
TV. Yeah.
It's been a really, really great year for TV.
It has. I have not advanced my Titans watching prior to the last episode, just because things have been so crazy. But
You're in.
yeah, I'm in. I'm enjoying it, and I can see myself getting all caught up. The season finale came out this week, right?
It did, and I watched it yesterday.
Yeah.
I
And,
have
it continues to be
feelings.
good, I imagine.
Yes, it was a very interesting, unprecedented kind of episode. I will not go into heavy spoiler territory because you are yet to watch it.
Yeah.
When you watch it, there will be plenty to discuss. However, I just maybe I just want to say a few things about Titans, just to kind of reiterate exactly why I like this show.
Yeah, go for it.
Nobody expected Titans to be good.
No, it was supposed
Literally-
to be a trash fire.
Yeah, literally nobody expected this to be good. It had everything going against it. It had been in development hell for almost 10 years. They were saying a while ago, they're like, oh, we're going to put it on TNT, and Akiva Goldsman is going to write and produce it. And I'm like, oh, that's going to be fucking awful. And then with the success of the DC's CW shows and stuff like that, they were like, maybe we're going to do it on the CW, but Akiva Goldsman still wanted to work on it, and there was just like a whole bunch of stuff kind of running around that, and it was like, I don't know about that. And then when DC announced that it was going to have its own streaming service and that Titans and a whole bunch of original series would be premiering on it, that was kind of an unprecedented thing, but I guess it was like a surefire way to kind of get people interested in the platform. And I can't speak for how good that platform is because I mean, it's only available in the United States, so I have not used it.
The borders have fucked us again.
Exactly. But I can say that for a show that wasn't supposed to be good, that had stayed far too long in development hell, had people like Akiva Goldsman attached to it, who's just, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he is honestly one of the worst, hackiest writers in Hollywood. Like, he's a terrible writer.
I'm unfamiliar, but I'll take your word for it.
He wrote Batman and Robin, first of all, which is a fun movie, but not a writing tour de force, you know?
Yeah.
He directed A Winter's Tale, which is one of the worst movies I've ever watched. And the only thing that he's really notable for of quality is he wrote A Beautiful Mind.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it. Like, he's not a good writer. So something that had his name attached to it, you know, I had no confidence. And the fact that it was adapting like one of my favorite properties, which is the Teen Titans, I took that almost like, oh my fucking god, like really? I can't even have this.
Please don't do it like this.
Please don't do me like that, y'all. And then the trailer came out, and that just got the negative buzz around the show going even fucking more because holy shit, was that a bad trailer.
The meme.
Yeah, the meme of
trailer,
fuck
honestly.
Batman. Honestly ridiculous. Like the level of like memeified contradiction that you could do with that is really similar to like the Captain America panel where he's like, "Hail Hydra."
Yeah.
This was basically like the DC meme version of that. And it was cringy. It was a badly edited trailer. It didn't really get across, or I don't know, just get quite to showing anything that made people excited to watch the show. Then, for the joke, I decided to give it a go. I downloaded the first episode, and I sat back, and I threw it on, and it was interesting. It wasn't exactly what I thought it would be. It was dark, sure, which is, I think everybody expected it to be kind of dark.
Yeah, the DCU has been pretty consistently
Yeah, at least where media outside of comics has been concerned for the past few years. The recurring meme about DC is that DC is edgy, twisted, dark shit, you know? And I mean, all you need to do is look at shit like Suicide Squad with its like too edgy for you marketing.
Yeah.
And garbage like Batman v Superman, which is, it's dark, and it is actually dark, but it is so grim dark and morally reprehensible and depressing that it's a completely unpleasant experience. So like, DC is dark. So yes, this show is dark.
Mm-hmm.
It is gritty. It is a little bit edgy. However, it is also charming. It has really, really, really engaging characterization and great performances, like all around, from all of these actors.
Yeah, the actors are really killing it. I'm actually
especially Brenton Thwaites as Dick Grayson,
yeah,
who gives so much pathos to a role that everybody assumed was going to be totally rote.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, like everybody was like, it's Robin, but he's mad, and I'm like, that could easily be the worst fucking thing ever. And it's really great. He does a great job. And Tegan Croft as Raven, once again, a character who in the trailers seemed like she was going to be the typical like possessed little girl character who's like, I've got a monster inside me, stay away. And to an extent, yeah, there's that aspect to her character, but she's layered.
Yeah,
she is a layered character. She just wants to be a normal teenager. She just wants to have friends, and you can see every time she's developing a camaraderie with somebody, she's scared now because of her abilities that she's going to have to push them away again. And you see that she struggles with that side of herself, the side of herself that wants to be a normal kid, that wants to be friends with people.
She wants human connection, but the powers kind of get in the way.
Exactly. I mean, when your father is an interdimensional demon and he is possessing your body, that is bad, and it makes you bad. And you see her struggle with her, a lot of her inner conflict, like kind of manifesting itself in her like reflection, and that reflection kind of telling her to like go fuck herself, or that nobody loves her, or
Hmm.
everybody thinks she's a bitch or a monster or a slut or something like that. Just like all of her worst, kind of most primal base insecurities
Yeah,
coming at
come
her.
out super fucking hard.
Yeah, so despite all odds, with all the odds stacked against it, Titans has managed to be a really affecting show, and there have been some episodes that really did a number on me emotionally. There is an episode called Hank and Dawn, which focused on Hawk and Dove's origin story and how they came to be together. This is episode 8 of the show,
Yeah.
and that was emotionally brutal. Like, really, really heavy shit. It got really, really well into like people who form codependent relationships because they're coping together with trauma.
Hmm.
People who rely on each other in that way, and people who recover together in different ways, and people who maybe use unhealthy methods to cope with their trauma.
Yeah, a support system of people who need different support systems.
Exactly, and it encapsulates, I think, just how much pathos the show can have when dealing with stuff that on the surface level you see the description and you're like, wow, that sounds like edgy crap.
Yeah.
Like it's and it's pulpy, it's fun, it's very violent, it's sometimes a little indulgent,
Yeah.
but it's a lot better of a show than anybody expected it to be, including myself, including yourself. So in terms of just TV shows I
Yeah.
watched this year that I liked, Titans is up there. And that, I mean, I want to say goes double for the rest of the CW DC shows. They've just been on a roll this year. All of their seasons have been very good.
Yeah.
Some of the
I was always
best they've
very
ever had.
hesitant, actually, of all the CW stuff, because I'm not really like into DC at all. You know, like I know like bits and pieces, but like nothing. It's all very surface level. But with how much praise you were giving Titans and stuff, I'm thinking about actually like going to check a couple of the things out, because I mean even just Titans is doing super good, but if you're telling me that all the other CW shows are pretty same level of
Yeah.
quality, then like I don't
They
see any
definitely
issue.
are.
Besides the
Some of
fact
them-
that like some of
some
them
of-
are
Yeah, like some of them are long. They
yeah
take a while to get into, and the viewing order is a little complicated.
yeah, but I watch anime, so
So, exactly. So there we go. And honestly, this is kind of anime.
Yeah.
Like, it's comic books, and the DC's CW shows feel like reading a good comic series. I mean, Supergirl, a show that in its first season, especially in its first couple of episodes, I kind of didn't do such a great job engaging me.
mhm.
Just brought its fucking A game in the latter half of its first, right into its second. And they have been doing great ever since. It's risen to become one of my favorite shows on TV. And this season that they're currently doing is tackling immigrant issues and the migrant crisis in the USA, with a pretty thinly veiled allegory of aliens living on Earth,
Oh yeah,
and
the
people revolting against them and rallying behind racist and xenophobic icons and symbols to kind of empower them, and using their fear of the unknown to justify
yeah,
hatred and violence and genocidal
a bit on the
attacks.
nose.
It's very on the nose, but you know what? It's necessary, and I'm
Mhm.
happy that it's being done, especially because the show is watched by, I know, many young people.
Yeah. And
it
I mean
speaks of-
that was like it's always been kind of the same narrative, like not even just with DC stuff, and like you just look at X-Men, it's just like it's a metaphor for racism, like
exactly, and I mean,
it's just what it's always been.
what better DC character to tell a story about immigration with than Superman and super characters who are literally immigrants from another planet,
Yeah,
who have risen to become people of high esteem in the minds of humans.
our planet got
humans-
all blowed the fuck up. Can we come live here? No.
And there is something to say about their privilege of being aliens that look like humans living
Yeah.
on Earth, and therefore being able to conceal their identity and not having to deal with the discrimination that aliens face on a day-to-day basis because they can perfectly pass themselves off as humans,
Hmm.
whereas some aliens can't because they're they have non-human traits, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's a thing that the show is tackling. Like characters like the Martian Manhunter, he has to disguise himself as a human to fit in with people on Earth because otherwise he looks like a literal green fucking Martian. Like it's really really cool just how they've managed to weave all of this together into a fascinating little narrative, and I think it's very necessary that in this year of all years we had something like that, doing like making an honest fucking try at talking about this shit in a frank and unsubtle manner, which is nice. So yeah, just all of the DC shows. Flash has been on a roll. Arrow has had one of its best seasons in years. Like Legends of Tomorrow, I literally cannot shut the fuck up about how much I love it. And their big mid-season crossover, which we spoke about a couple episodes ago,
Yeah.
which just
Which seemed
kicked
pretty
all
fucking
sorts
hype.
of ass. So good. It was so fun. They did a really really good job kind of telling a grand epic story with a TV budget.
Yeah.
It's amazing that they keep managing to do that level of fun heightened comic book storytelling on the budget that they have. So yeah, just Titans, DC CW shows, that has been something that has kept me going this year. How about you?
TV show wise, I guess I'm gonna have to go with JoJo, obviously.
Hmm.
JoJo is fucking insane. I love it. It's the best. I love the adventures of all the boys. Honestly, Stardust Crusaders, I just finished it this year, like the anime, and
Yeah.
like it helped me a
There are
lot
feels.
during it helped me a lot during when I was working nights at a bread factory, because like I would not really do anything besides just kind of watch anime because I was so dead from work, but also like wasn't sure when I should sleep or what I should do when I'm not sleeping, and you're just like your brain is all not normal because you're working from like midnight till 7 a.m. and then you're like, I don't understand. So
We call that the proletariat brain.
yeah. So that helped me a lot. To
Yeah,
get through
that
rough
show is a
time.
good coping mechanism.
Yeah. And part 5 is amazing. They're like I read past where the anime is, but they're doing it justice and the pacing is really good. I was afraid that some of the fights might be a little too long, especially after Tiny Feet. I thought Tiny Feet was a little bit stretched out.
Yeah, it was.
But I mean that fight even in the manga is kind of long, so
Yeah, they didn't stretch it out that much, to be honest.
yeah.
And I mean, JoJo is notorious for having, especially later parts, like not so much part 8 because it's switched to a longer magazine format,
Yeah.
but like Araki's pretty much allowed to draw like 48-page chapters now.
Oh boy.
Yeah, part 8 has like 48-page chapters.
Sick.
But
Can't wait.
yeah, and it's monthly releases.
Yeah.
But part 5, the chapters are notoriously short and have
Yeah, that's
kind
what
of
I was
nothing.
finding.
It must have been torture reading it weekly.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, it must have been.
Well, I mean, that's
absolutely-
why I couldn't handle watching the anime. Is because it's just like, no, I can't wait another week.
Yeah,
to
it's
figure
true.
this out. Like, I need to know how the crew gets out.
Yes, exactly, and the tension keeps you there.
Yeah,
So that's JoJo's. I love
JoJo's good. Zombieland Saga was
Yes.
the most left field, out of nowhere obsession of this year, I think. I was not expecting to ever utter the words "I fucking love this idol anime."
Yeah, but it really has been kind of a ride, hasn't it?
It has. It's like from the beginning of the kind of like satirical. I feel it kind of does what One Punch Man did, in the sense that like One Punch Man was a shonen, like just making fun of the shonen formula, and then it just
Yeah.
kind of turned into a shonen. and you didn't really realize it, and you were like, oh yeah, wait, here we are. And yeah, Zombieland Saga did the kind of same thing where it was a making fun of idol animes, and then it just turned into an idol anime, and you're like, when is friend Shushu coming to Montreal so I can get my fucking glow sticks?
Honestly, though, it's something that kind of served itself up as like a subversive take on idol anime.
Yeah.
It's done a good job of actually making me kind of get into the formula of idol anime.
Yeah, and like it's opened up the doors of like being like I'm a little more open to going to check out some other idol animes.
Same here, because idol shows never really held that much appeal to.
Yeah, until I mean, I guess it really depends on the writing and stuff, you know? Because that's the main appeal of Zombieland Saga is all the characters feel very 3D and like real, even though they're zombies and not real.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It has been, and I mean, just that's not to speak of the show's positive social politics.
Yeah,
which have been extremely progressive.
Consistently, consistently progressive and like surprising. Honestly, I was not expecting a lot of the things that show did.
I mean, the last thing I expect, right? The very last thing that you expect from idol anime is positive transgender representation.
Yeah. And
yet,
they did it so good too. In one episode, they were like, you know, they introduced it. They said this is the thing. Everyone was just kind of like, yeah, all right. That's that. And now we're moving on, and just like,
yeah,
no one made a big deal out of it. It wasn't one of those weird episodes where like, oh, someone has a problem with it, so now we have to talk with that one person to make them see that it's not that big of an issue. It was more of a like, this is their story, and like, that's just Lily, you know, like.
Yeah.
And
pretty much.
The thing that was really weird about that whole thing too was just a bunch of fucking shit people coming out afterwards and just using the dead name of Lily. Like using Lily's dead name out of nowhere, and it's just like, this character was not that before then, so like you're just being a shit, you know? Like, this character to you has always been Lily until this very moment where they introduced her as a trans girl, and now you want to be a shit about it. That's
go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really cool that they just kind of went out of their way to do that, to establish that, to have it not matter.
Yeah.
Trans.
That's it. And like,
it's so good.
Yeah, that episode made me cry. It was really good. Like you said, like, it was nice to make it not a big deal, you know?
Yes, it really helped me feel good about anime representing trans people for once in a while. Because it's I mean, it's not to say there aren't great animes about transgender characters or featuring transgender characters, because there are actually quite a few, and some of them are my favorite anime, including like Wandering Sun, which is like a beautiful anime about being a trans woman, and like it's a fantastic series about what the context is like for people living in Japan who are trans.
Yeah.
A stellar show. But to see it done in a show that didn't have to do it, in a show that wasn't telling a narrative that focused on somebody's gender identity, that just kind of wanted to have a character that was trans represented positively. When they could have so easily fetishized her, when they could have done just a whack of other terrible shit, they decided to be not crap about it. And that's really nice.
It's really good that they didn't fetishize her either, because she's like clearly the youngest of the entire group, and it was just like, I don't know.
That would have been so bad, and they've been doing everything.
Would have ruined the show.
Yes, it would have. Absolutely. I would have stopped fucking watching.
It dropped like a hot patat.
So yeah, and speaking of anime, I have one more anime I'd like to talk about.
Is it fucking Gridman?
No, and
Damn.
you know what? So I want Gridman to finish before I feel ready talking about that.
Yeah, you know what? That's super fair.
But I have an anime that I'd like to talk about that's currently ongoing, that I've been very, very big into. This is a series called Gegege no Kitaro. I don't know if you're familiar with.
I have
Uh,
not heard of this.
So, Gegege no Kitaro is an anime that has been running for, uh, I guess since April. It says April 1st of this year was when it. They're currently
Oh, this
36,
looks fucking adorable.
36 or so episodes in. It is being produced by Toei Animation,
Yeah.
and this series is the 6th anime adaptation of this manga. It's a classic manga from
1960.
1960. It's written by Shigeru Mizuki. The series is about yokai. It's definitely the series that popularized yokai in a contemporary context in Japan.
Okay.
The main character is Kitaro, who is a young yokai and a ghost yokai and a young boy. And his father, who is a little eyeball ghost, lives with him. He's basically a decayed body, and the only thing left is an eye. So his dad lives with him, and he's a little eye. And he just kind of gets caught up in a bunch of supernatural shenanigans affecting the human world. And every week, it's kind of a mix of a Showa era comedy, something like Osumatsu-san,
Mm-hmm.
a horror series, and so I want to say just a little tiny bit of, I don't know how to describe it, weirdness, 60s weirdness. Not just 60s comedy weirdness, but 60s weirdness.
So like misogyny.
No, not like misogyny, although that is some 60s weirdness.
Yeah.
More, I mean, like
60s anime
It's-
weirdness.
yeah, just kind of there's a heightened sense of weird that the show has, and it's something that the manga maintains too.
Mm-hmm.
It's an offbeat kind of off-kilter vibe. It's not something that I can quantify. It's like a feeling, but it's a feeling that I get when I watch the show.
Is it like uncomfortable or is it?
Not uncomfortable. It's pleasant. You know what? The thing I'd most compare it to, and this is gonna sound so stupid and like, wow, of course. It honestly is Lynchian.
Oh.
It's a little bit Twin Peaksy.
Yeah. Okay.
And
You
not
and
Twin
your-
Peaksy
you
in
and
the
your
way that
Peaks.
not Twin Peaksy in the way where Twin Peaks is creepy and weird and uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Twin Peaks in the way where it's kind of charming and hokey,
Okay. Yeah.
but it's weird, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird vibe.
Holy shit!
This
There's so
show-
many video games. Sorry.
There-
There's so many
there
video
are a-
games.
There's a lot of video games this year, Ben.
No. But of this.
Oh, of this series.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. But anyway, Gegege no Kitaro, this current anime adaptation, the thing that most impresses me about it is the way in which it adapts these characters for a truly contemporary world. And the show is not shy to tackle difficult issues, including sexism,
Mm-hmm.
xenophobia, and in one of my, I want to say maybe the best episode of an anime I've watched this year,
Ooh.
they discussed Japan's unwillingness to talk about the genocide and war crimes it committed in World War II.
Huh.
Like, it took that very, very controversial and critical topic and made an episode completely centralized around it.
That's
Where-
pretty good.
Yeah, where the spirits of people who were murdered by the Japanese army play a prominent role. And I don't know if anybody's terribly familiar with Japan, apart from the fact that they were part of the Axis powers in World War II, but Japan at the time was an imperialistic country with imperialistic tendencies and imperialistic aspirations. And they invaded and
None
took
of that
over
good shit.
yeah, invaded and took over much of Eastern Asia, including Korea. They occupied Korea and very famously pillaged and raped and murdered all across the Korean peninsula. Cities like Nanking, there's an entire event known as the Rape of Nanking. It doesn't need to be stated why it is called that. I think it's fairly obvious. But the Japanese army were a brutal and vicious fighting force, and they killed and occupied and destroyed a lot of people's lives and homes. And even to this day in Japan, because the way that the war ended for Japan,
Yeah.
and I'm sure we all know how, and that it was once again just a terrible ordeal, and not in any way a condonable or humane action on the part of the United States. The Japanese war machine, was practically destroyed. The Japanese were losing the war.
Yeah.
They were. Let's get this out of the gate. America didn't need to drop 2 nuclear bombs on the country. They didn't need to drop 1 nuclear bomb.
They didn't
on the
need the
country.
nuclear
Yeah.
bombs.
they were going to win the Pacific theater of World War II.
Mhm.
They were going to take that victory regardless. That was going to happen. But they didn't anyway. The war ended badly for Japan. It was a tragedy. Many, many people lost their lives, innocent people who had nothing to do with the conflict, who were involved simply by way of being Japanese citizens. They were, murdered in a startlingly inhumane and brutal manner. But due to the way that the war ended, and due to Japan as a nation's tendency to just kind of move forward,
Yeah.
there is very little discussion, open discussion especially, of topics like their complicity in inhumane and violent war crimes. And
well,
so,
even just the Second World War in general, I'm pretty sure they just kind of
it's just a very taboo topic at
we
this
don't
point.
we don't talk about that anymore.
Yeah, and there have been many artists who have done work to speak of the stuff that happened, and including Shigeru Mizuki himself, the creator of Kitaro, who wrote a manga about World War II, which is very, very good. I think it was called Adolf, but it is about Adolf Hitler, and it is very, very good. Just fantastic, actually. He also wrote a really, really, really beautiful manga called Onward Towards Our Noble Deaths, a very powerful anti-war manga. And it describes his own experiences as a soldier who participated in the New Guinea campaign of Japan in World War II, the final weeks of his infantry service, and him being told that dying for his country was the only way for him to avoid the dishonor of surviving the conflict.
Jesus.
It's, I think, not an exaggeration to say that World War II had an impressively huge effect on Mizuki's own politics and work, because he is one of the most notably left-wing manga artists and writers.
Yeah.
And he has written plenty of fantastic work about that subject and about his experiences. So, Gegege no Kitaro tackling this particular topic in such a poignant and powerful manner, I think really was something special.
So what episode was that?
I believe it was episode 28.
All right.
if
I'm
I
gonna
recall.
check out the whole series, but I'll keep I mean, I'm pretty sure it'll also be fairly apparent when it does happen.
Yes, it is suffice it to say, just I cannot believe that in 2018 I got to watch a Kitaro adaptation that discussed such a difficult and controversial topic in such a respectful, level-headed, and completely admirable manner. It's just it was very, very impressive. So I have to say, hands off to the show for tackling such a difficult topic in such a magnificently well-constructed manner. They did a very good job. So yes, please watch Gegege no Kitaro. It's fantastic. I believe it's streaming on Crunchyroll. Catch it if you can. It's amazing.
I believe everything is on Crunchyroll.
A lot of stuff is. A lot of good stuff is.
You got Funimation
Do you have
doing their thing
Do you have
too,
any more TV that
no,
saved your soul
actually,
this year?
I didn't really watch that much TV that I can think of. Uh, we talked about it in October, but so it's a little passé. But Haunting of Hill House is still one of my favorite um, like horror series on Netflix. It took the top place, all except for that last episode. Last episode's a little disappointing.
Oh, that's a pity.
Yeah, but other than that, yeah, TV was a little dead for me this year. A lot of movies, but nothing too stand out.
I don't think I have many movies to speak of because I haven't seen all the things I want to see this year yet.
Yeah, and
But
we can get
in
into
the next
that
week.
in the next year.
In the next week, I will be watching stuff,
Oh, me too.
and I will have things to say. I do have another show that I want to talk. Two shows, in fact, but I can talk about them like one show.
Yeah.
Just because they kind of go together. But Super Sentai and Kamen Rider, the two biggest, most popular tokusatsu series in Japan, especially for children, had two very, very excellent iterations this year. Some of the best either show has ever managed to kind of do. So I don't know, for those who aren't 100% familiar, Lupin Ranger, Pato Ranger, this is the newest iteration of Super Sentai. Super Sentai is the series from which we get Power Rangers. But yes, the version that came out this year is a version called Lupin Ranger vs. Pato Ranger. Lupin Ranger and Pato Ranger is about two separate teams of Sentai heroes. One team of three representing kind of a police force, the Pato Ranger, and the other three representing Phantom Thieves, like Arsène Lupin Phantom Thieves, where they get their name from.
Yeah.
And the Lupin Rangers have kind of a top hat and cape motif, and the Pato Rangers have kind of like a police badge motif.
Cops and robbers.
That's exactly what it is. The series centers around the Lupin Rangers stealing back artifacts from a mob boss called from a kind of like a monster mob called the Ganglers. The Ganglers have stolen the articles from a collection of treasure hoarded by Arsène Lupin called the Lupin Collection. And so the Lupin Rangers are tasked by Arsène Lupin's butler to basically recapture all of the stuff from the Lupin Collection, and the Pato Ranger meanwhile are trying to capture the Lupin Ranger. So obviously, inevitably, because it's Sentai, the two teams do end up having to work together. But it takes a while to get there, and the special ranger of this team, like the ranger who kind of comes in and he's kind of like the new big special guy, like the Green Ranger or the Gold Ranger.
Yeah.
It's Lupin Gold and Pato Silver. The same man. He kind of double crosses both.
He's just double dipping in the teams.
Exactly. So sometimes he's Lupin Gold, sometimes he's Pato Silver. They call him X, like the X Ranger, Cross Ranger.
Okay, yeah.
So he's really, really cool, and the kind of cinematography and action that they've been doing this season were really, really cool. Like there's a lot of like thievy boy spy kind of stuff going, like a Lupin the Third kind of aesthetic for the Lupin Ranger, and like a procedural police drama 70s kind of Hill Street Blues,
all that good
kind
shit
of,
you need.
Yeah, kind of feel for the Pato Ranger, which is really neat. And that's really rad. I've just kind of enjoyed the show. It's been a really fun ride. Kamen Rider Build, which is the last Kamen Rider series, it premiered earlier last year but ended this year, certainly. Is maybe my favorite ever season of Kamen Rider.
Yeah, I actually recently started it because I saw that it ended, and
yes.
I like waiting for things to end if I possibly can.
Yeah, exactly. So you can get the whole thing.
Yeah, so I can just kind of binge it. I've been enjoying that one so far.
I have to say, of all the Kamen Rider series I've watched in the last couple of years, this is by far the most accessible one, because it's entirely standalone from the rest of the show. Most Kamen Rider and Sentai have kind of a standalone feel, but this one in particular is like almost entirely divorced from the continuity of the previous Kamen Rider shows, and instead, oh, pardon me, it primarily focuses on kind of world building its own little world
Yeah.
and telling intensely personal stories about these particular characters. So the premise of the series is that astronauts went to Mars sometime in like the near future, and they brought back with them a box called the Pandora's Box, an ancient alien artifact that they uncovered on Mars. And when they unveiled the artifact to the public on Earth in Japan, which is the astronauts, I guess, were Japanese, right? He was a Japanese guy.
Mm-hmm.
When they unveiled the Pandora's Box to the world, the box unleashed energy that split Japan in three. And so these big kind of walls kind of erupted from the ground and split the country into three separate sections. So now, where Japan once was, there are three separate nations that are all at war with constantly. And
so it's just like feudal Japan.
Exactly. Japan has been rendered back into like a warring states period, essentially. And it's not as obvious warring states period imagery as the Japanese Kamen Rider series that is a literal adaptation of the warring states period. But
man, they love the warring states period, don't they?
Well, the warring states period is kind of like the Japanese equivalent of like the medieval period, right?
Yeah.
You know, feudalism is really big. Lords sending their knights out to kind of fuck each other up while they sit in their high
Samurais were
castles.
cool.
Exactly, and there's ninjas
Yeah.
and shit, which people think are badass, which they are. So like, it's very heavily romanticized, but suffice to say, there's a lot of Japanese media that talks about the warring states period.
Mm-hmm.
But this kind of has plunged Japan back into feudal conflict, and so these three warring nations are constantly trying to destroy and one-up each other. And the nation that the main characters are a part of, they have a secret military program in which they've developed a technology, and basically there are these little devices called full bottles that when used can be made to invoke Kamen Rider armor.
Yeah.
So the rider system armor, they call it rider armor, and these Kamen Riders are basically their nations create them to act as tools of war and conflict.
Super soldiers.
Yeah. And the main character of the series is an amnesiac who wakes up, finds himself in some place, escapes from this place, and is kind of adopted and taken in by the astronaut who actually brought the Pandora's Box back to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of working side by side at his cafe, and they're trying to figure out how his rider armor works, and they're having him use the rider armor, which is powered by 2 full bottles. Each full bottle kind of has a different ability. So the 2 that he has when starting off is the Rabbit full bottle and the Tank full bottle. So his primary form is called Kamen Rider Rabbit Tank.
The
or
coolest combo.
Yeah, Rabbit Tank form, and it is a very, very cool combo. Yeah, it kicks ass. And it's a very, very striking design. Just completely asymmetrical red-blue rider design. It's gorgeous. It's like I think a miracle of character.
It is my second
design.
favorite next to X8. X8 is
X8
still one of my favorite color combos, and just the general design is just so ridiculous.
Yeah, the purple,
good.
pink, green, and white.
Yeah, it's
it
just
looks wild.
I love it.
It's such a fun design. But yeah, so the build design for Rabbit Tank is great, and there's a ton of cool powers in build that people use, and you can combine all these full bottles that they take from people into individual kind of character, in individual like little encapsulated forms, and these powers can be combined to form different riders.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this main character, Sento, teams up with Banjo Ryuga, who's kind of like a I call him a fighty boy. He's like a punchy boy.
Punch boy.
Who becomes Kamen Rider Cross Z.
Mm-hmm.
And him and Kamen Rider Cross Z basically team up and kind of protect the people of their nation from their own military and from the foreign militaries that are invading their country. And then get contracted by their own military to kind of fight like puppet battles against other nations' Kamen Riders. And it just kind of becomes a tournament anime at a certain point, and it's fucking great.
I'm fucking hyped now.
It's so it's so cool. And then, of course, all of them team up in the end to kind of fight the people who have been puppeteering them the whole time. There's a lot of betrayals and twists, and they're all really, really good. The powers are super fun and diverse, and it's just been a very particularly accessible and fun season of Kamen Rider. You can watch it and go in completely blind, not knowing anything about this series, and as long as you just suspend your disbelief a little bit,
Yeah.
you will have a good fucking time.
Because I mean, it is aimed at children for the most part.
Yeah, like aimed at
it's a-
10-year-olds.
Yeah, so it's a Power Ranger Sentai. It's a Sentai thing, you know. Like,
Yeah, but it's also
you
a
gotta
very
kinda just-
it's a very mature series about the cost of war
Yeah.
and what nations do to pit regular people against one another in times of war.
Big lies.
Yeah.
Big
Oh yeah.
gaslighting.
Like, it really is about nations gaslighting their citizens into hating one another, even though they're
Yeah.
all literally ethnic Japanese and we're all part of the same country, not like a decade in the
Yeah,
past.
this wall showed up, so now you gotta kill that guy on the other side. But he was my neighbor
Exactly.
yesterday. Yep. He sure
But that's
was.
That's exactly what makes it such effective anti-war storytelling.
Yeah.
Because it shows you just how easily people can be turned against one another, even when there's no reason for them to fight each other. So yeah, Kamen Rider Build, good leftist Kamen Rider. Hard recommendation, not even a question. So I think that gets all the TV out of the way.
Yeah, let's try and jump through music, because I think that's the biggest chunk of thing. And I gotta go pretty soon, so we gotta do music fast, and then we can touch on
Do
video
some-
games, and then touch
And
on
every little tiny mini
next year.
things. We can power through the last I'll just kind of list some stuff.
Yeah.
But I listened to a lot of music this year. I mean, I listened to a lot of music in general, but this
Yeah.
year was a very good year for music. And just some of the notable albums that I enjoyed. Ghost, the Swedish metal band, doom metal band, just released their 4th album this year. It's called Prequel. And it is a very good metal album. It kicks ass. It's big and fun and dumb. Ghost, if you're not familiar with them, their aesthetic is kind of like a satanic church procession, and their band is led, by sometimes he's a pope. For the last couple of iterations, he was a dark pope called Papa Emeritus, numbers 1, 2, and 3.
I
now-
like it.
Right now, the leader of the band calls himself Cardinal Copia.
Mhm.
He is a cardinal, and Cardinal Copia means cardinal sin, or cardinal
Yeah.
error. So it's kind of a funny Latin pun, too.
Yeah.
But his name is Cardinal Error. He is in line to be the leader of this ghost church because Papa Emeritus is sick. So he is the leader, and
You got that.
band-
You got that demonic
band has
possessions.
and the album is really fun. It's kind of a lot of their albums kind of have a different flavor. This one definitely feels kind of like an 80s big grand fun power metal dumb idiot metal album, and I love it. The lead single from the album is called Rats, and it has been a huge hit on rock radio from what I understand, so that just goes to show you kind of the mainstream appeal of this album.
Yeah.
But it's also a badass rock music album with some really ambitious and interesting tracks on it. Another single, Dance Macabre, which kicks a lot of ass. And then in one of the coolest rock tracks of the year, there's an instrumental track on here called Miasma. Miasma is mostly just a fun instrumental metal song. And then the ending has a heavy metal saxophone solo.
Oh, I'm fucking sold.
Prequel is the best 80s metal album made in the 2010s. It's a very, very fun...
Move over, Megadeth. We got saxophones.
This album just kicks all sorts of ass. So Ghost did very good. What about you? You got another album you want to talk about?
I got 3 albums by one person.
Yeah, I have those on my list as well.
let's get Too Mello in here.
Yeah.
Because that boy has been working hard.
Yeah, Too Mello, if you're unfamiliar, is a hip-hop and hip-hop mashup artist who's been working for, I want to say the past couple of years. He's been around for a little while now.
Yeah, he's been doing some video game stuff.
Yeah, he's made soundtracks to video games, including Read Only Memories, which is one of my favorite games. Uh, he has made a great amount of mashup albums that kind of combine famous hip hop artists' songs with the scores from particular video games.
Hmm.
So he's, I guess, maybe most known for Wu Tang Enter the 3-6 Chambers or Final Fantasy Enter the 3-6 Chambers, which is a Wu Tang Enter the 36 Chambers mashup.
With
So
Final
it's
Fantasy,
Wu Tang Clan songs mixed with Final Fantasy. Very,
as
very
they should
cool.
be.
So cool.
He released
Earth Big,
hmm
the Earthbound album that combines Earthbound tracks with Biggie Smalls, which is very, very good.
all the things you really want.
Yes, exactly. Oh, and who can forget Chrono Jigga, the Chrono Trigger album that combines Jay-Z and Chrono Trigger. It's so good. It's so fucking good.
It is. That boy does
And,
work. He's got his
and
own
the
albums too, you know, like
Yeah.
well, I mean, just this year he did Mind Streaming, Trunk Fiction, and what was the other one? I can't remember right now.
Trunk Fiction, Return of the Soul,
Oh yeah.
and Memories of Tokyoto, which is a tribute album to Jet Set Radio, but it's all original music.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
I
and
had that on
Trunk
repeat
Fiction
for
is
like
a great
2.
record.
Yeah, Trunk Fiction and Memories of Tokyoto, both on repeat for like, I want to say a good 2 months each.
Oh yeah, and Trunk Fiction's fun because it's kind of like a throwback, old school kind of house, almost like jungle garage UK garage music album,
Yeah.
like classic electronic dance music and like jungle music and stuff like that, like rhythm, drum and bass, and then like we said before, Memories of Tokyoto is just what if another Jet Set Radio game came out and the soundtrack for it came out. It's a
Yeah.
tribute to the sound of Jet Set Radio, and it's so fucking cool. And of course, then there's Return of the Soul, which is a throwback hip hop album where he kind of just spits his best raps he possibly can. Like, what's that? There's a really good track called, what's it called? What Will Stop Too Mello from Rapping?
Oh yeah.
There's also Live This Way, which is really good and has a great soulful chorus with there's a lot of great soul and R&B samples on that album. It's just a straight hip hop album, no video games shit involved, but lots of like fantastic social commentary on it, and just beautiful music, just like some of his best production work. It's
Yeah.
just fascinatingly good music. Like
And
really,
Mind
really
Streaming, Mind Streaming was really impressive because it was straight up just a 2-day project that he just live streamed over Twitch.
Mhm.
Not 2 days straight, but still just
But,
the
like-
whole process was live streamed. I dropped in a couple of times just to see, and it's really cool, like seeing the creative process behind like music like that, you know?
It's intimate. It's a very
Yeah.
intimate experience. You kind of get to see the entire spectrum of difficulty that an artist goes to kind of get an album to sound exactly like how they want it to sound.
Yeah. And how little money they make off of it.
Oh yeah. Another album that I want to talk about is an album by an artist named Crystal Cola, who you can find on Bandcamp. They make very, very interesting music that is kind of a throwback and tribute to Japanese city pop from the 80s.
Hmm.
So music by people like Maria Takeuchi, and of course the king of city pop, her husband Tatsuro Yamashita. But this album is called Late Night TV, late spelled L8 and night spelled Nite. But Late Night TV is kind of meant to simulate the experience of flipping through channels from like the hours of midnight through to like, 3 or 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And every song is like named for the half-hour increment that it would occupy on a TV schedule, and with like a little subtitle. And it just kind of emulates the sound of what that particular program would be like as city pop. It's kind of a high concept idea, but it's really executed well, and it sounds magnificently beautiful, just like produced to the highest standard. Beautifully, 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 beautifully done. Just a fantastic little album. So that's Late Night TV by Crystal Cola, and you can find them and the rest of their albums and releases on Bandcamp. Just search Crystal Cola. They're really, really good.
They sound vaporwavy.
The thing is, all of the music is original. None of it is remixes, which is what I like the most about them. Is it's completely original music and it sounds straight up just like city pop that came from the 80s. And I've listened to an embarrassing amount of city pop because it's one of my favorite genre / periods of popular music in terms of global popular music. And I'm a bit of a connoisseur of city pop. So
you could call it.
I could call it.
Yeah, I couldn't think of anything.
You could call it. I'm a pretentious asshole.
You could call me a hipster.
A hipster who likes the Japanese pop music from the 80s.
Man,
but I really do.
Japanese
I
pop
really
music
do.
is good from any time frame.
Yeah, even the worst Japanese pop is
Yes.
pretty great.
It's actually
So
not.
yes, Late Night TV, really good. You got another one up there?
It's not really an album because this man has only been releasing singles for the past fucking like couple years, but he is teasing towards an album, and that man is Aesop Rock. Not
Yeah.
ASAP Rocky, not to
Nope.
be confused. Don't get it twisted. Aesop Rock, who has been around since like the 80s, 90s ish.
In the 90s.
Yeah, the
Yeah, I want to
90s.
say the mid 90s.
Yeah.
His name is Ian Bavitz. He is from New York, and he makes good ass hip hop. That's all I can say about him. Just makes some fucking good ass music, that guy.
I will be right back if you want to take it for like a second on something else,
Sure.
and I'll come back with Aesop.
Okay. I guess while Ben takes a short, tiny little break, I will explain my feelings towards an album by Paul Simon that came out this year. Paul Simon, if you're not familiar, one half of Simon and Garfunkel. I had the esteemed pleasure of seeing him live this summer on his very last and final tour, his farewell tour. And his last little album that he released is called In the Blue Light. This album is for fans of Paul Simon and nobody else, but I'm a fan of Paul Simon, so it was for me. The album is a collection of remixed and reorchestrated versions of some of his deep cuts. But what I really like about this album is the musical arrangement. So it's very sonically different from, I think, a lot of what he is known for. Paul Simon's music is kind of world music, a lot of it. It's a mix of folk music and, you know, the kind of world music that you expect, a mix of African, Caribbean, Asian, European folk musics, with his very signature lyricism. He's a very verbose lyricist. He uses a lot of nice big words. But this particular album, In the Blue Light, is, you know, reorchestrated to sound kind of a little more symphonic. Occasionally there's a chamber orchestra, string quartets, but small little musicians, little groups like that, and joining him in the studio to completely give all of these old songs of his a facelift. A standout track for me would be his reorchestrated version of my favorite song of his, which is a short, cute kind of throwback, almost doo-wop song from one of his least popular albums called Renee and Georgette Magritte with Their Dog After the War. And this song is kind of a tribute to the surrealist painter Rene Magritte and his wife Georgette. And
Okay, I'm back.
all right, I was just in the middle of talking about Paul Simon's album that came out.
Oh.
But it's basically his last album. I got to see him on tour and I got to see him perform some stuff from it on his farewell tour this year. But I just wanted to say the album is kind of reorchestrated versions of his older, deeper, kind of deep cuts from his catalog.
Yeah.
Reorchestrated with like chamber orchestra and like a string quartet and stuff like that. And my favorite Paul Simon song of all time was put on the album. It is one of his deep cut songs. That is a little surrealist doo-wop song from one of his older albums called Renee and Georgette Magritte with Their Dog After the War. but the
That's a
song is
mouthful.
yeah, the song is a tribute to René Magritte, the painter, like the Ceci n'est pas un pipe guy, and his wife, and it takes the name from a photo of both of them that was taken. But the song is kind of a little fantasy song that imagines them kind of living in New York City and being old and in love and listening to kind of the doo-wop music that inspired the song, but it's also lyrically has a lot of surrealist elements to it, so it's kind of a tribute to his painting and the oeuvre that he created, just as much as it is a tribute to like the doo-wop music that inspired the sound of the song. And
Yeah.
there's a reorchestrated version of it on the album Light, that I think is just the best possible version of the song you could ever listen to. It's profoundly beautiful, just a gorgeous little bit of surrealist poetry and songwriting.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
It's fantastic. Like
Is
this
it good
this
sleepy
album,
time music? Because I've been looking for
Yeah.
good sleepy time music.
it absolutely is. Actually, it's a very nice, beautiful little song about just kind of what it's like to be older and still in love, and to have a great love for your youth and for the past, but to also see yourself in the present and love yourself in the present. It's a cute little track, and it sounds ever the more poignant coming from an elderly Paul Simon than it did coming from Paul Simon in his 30s. So it's a neat little track, and that version is great. So In the Blue Light by Paul Simon is a very nice little album. Now let's get back to Aesop Rock.
Yes. So Aesop Rock's been doing the thing recently with Tobacco, which is like electronic music. I think they mostly do beats and stuff.
Yeah,
he's doing a new collab.
They're beat makers and producers.
He's doing a new collab with them, and so far the two songs that have been released are god tier: Corn Maze and Acid Kings. Aesop Rock is my favorite, I guess you could call it abstract rap artist.
Yeah,
his flow's very different. It's
oh yeah, it's very technical.
Yeah.
He's definitely an alternative hip hop artist.
Yeah,
He's
for
very
sure.
much like when you imagine alternative hip hop music, he is one of the first people that comes to mind, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Without a doubt.
Amazing. Yeah, you were about to say, his flow is just it's so technical. And his vocabulary is huge.
Chock full of syllables
Oh my god.
and bars
and,
for days.
and he is verbose.
Yeah.
He's much like Paul Simon, actually, to link the two of them. They're both from New York. They come from a similar New York songwriter tradition of being extremely verbose lyricists.
Of course.
And so yes, those singles that he's been releasing, just stellar stuff.
Yeah. Favorite so far has been Corn Maze. Definitely just the flow of the lyrics and the beat alone. Like I'm really excited for not only this album to drop, but this album to drop with an instrumental album on the back of the vinyl.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be in it. That's gonna be like a fun time, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Just like kind of getting into the just the digging into the beats and getting to just kind of listen to them isolate.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be like
Deconstructing them.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Admiring them for what they are.
I love listening to instrumental hip hop tracks all the time. I like listening to Jay Dilla.
Alright. We're gonna have to wrap it up pretty quick. So you wanna just blow through video game stuff?
Yes. So, video games that I played this year that I loved: Breath of the Wild and Skyrim, which were very therapeutic games for me to play. I just had a good time making my way through them. I could play them at my own pace. I get to explore these huge, massive worlds that I just love digging.
Massive worlds.
Oh yeah, I love digging into them. I love their soundtracks. Just been fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Night in the Woods, which is now just my favorite game of all time. I've never played a game that has resonated
there,
with
huh?
It has never. I've never played a game which had resonated with me so strongly, so quickly.
Okay.
I played the game while I was sick over the course of like a week.
Mm-hmm.
I beat it. I played it every day for like 4 hours. and I was totally in love. It captured me. I wrote an essay earlier this year about how much I love this album. Like last semester in school, I wrote like a 5-page essay on the game.
Oh yeah, didn't you get like a super pass too?
I got a great mark for it. I love that fucking game to death.
It's on sale now. I'll have to pick it up.
You should. I liked Deltarune a lot, of course.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the time that I spent with that, and I cannot wait for Chapter 2. And
Toby
so thank
Fox,
you.
hurry up.
Yeah, thank you to our Lord and Savior Toby Fox for blessing us with another amazing game. And I really, really did love the re-release, the fully voice-acted re-release of Read Only Memories on the Switch 2064 Read Only Memories. It has been a joy revisiting that game, now fully voice-acted. Listening to all of 2 Mello's score for it. Just playing that shit on my Switch. Nothing like it. Just a great game. What about you?
Nier Automata takes my top spot for this year, even though it came out last year. But I only really got to play it this year, and it has clawed its way to my favorite game ever, possibly. Easily top 5. I'm not going to say ever,
so.
but top 5 for sure.
Deservedly so.
Bravely Default has been pretty up there so far. Still not finished it yet though, so I'm not gonna say too much. I'm very weary of the games and whatnot.
Yeah, okay, that's
before
fair.
finishing them.
That's fair.
What else? What else did I play? Red Dead 2.
Yes.
Also very, very up there in terms of game. Much more slow burn than something like Nier Automata.
Oh yeah.
A little less actiony, a little more cowboy sim.
Yes.
Like actually go kill your food, actually go get your clothes.
Take
a bath, you stink.
a system heavy game developed with literal hours of manpower spent on the most minute details possible.
Yeah.
Games that
billions of lives.
Yeah. Games like that don't get made every day.
No.
And they can't get made every day. Logistically, if you see just how this game was made, you see why people don't make games like this.
Yeah.
But the fact that there is a game like this to show that they can be made, whether or not they should be is a different question, but the fact that they can be,
I feel like if the time crunch is a little more spread out than 100-hour work weeks, it's more justifiable to
it is.
Delay your game for, say, a couple of years.
Yeah.
Than to actually kill the people who worked on the game. But yeah, big ups to the Rockstar team.
Yeah, the Rockstar and everybody involved, including the people that are not credited.
Yeah.
They put in so much hard work into making this like one of the most technically impressive video games ever released. And I think it's going to go down historically as one of those games.
Yeah.
So to everybody
it
involved,
the highest grossest thing in the world.
Yeah, like
within 2 weeks.
Fuck Rockstar, but long
good job,
live the
Rockstar.
Long live the Rockstar dev team.
Yeah.
For putting in all that work to make such an impressive piece of gaming history. Like really, very well done, everybody. So it has been a good year for games. Not a good year for the industry, mind you. Actually, a pretty bad year for the industry in terms of
especially if you worked at Bethesda.
Negative press. Yeah, if you worked at either Bethesda or Blizzard, Rockstar,
Riot,
or oh god, yeah, if you worked at Riot, your company's been canceled. But
but I think that's every year. Like,
oh yeah,
there's never not
if you work at David Cage's little company there, what are they called again?
Quantic Dream.
Quantic Dream, yeah. Like, man, it has not been a good year for the industry and for press for the industry, but it has been a good year for the products industry people have been putting out.
Software good, industry bad.
Yeah, exactly. The art has been good. The way that the practices have been disgusting.
Questionable.
Yeah, disgusting. But games, strong turnout this year. Yeah. Is there any last minute things you want to plug?
I'm gonna be streaming Every Devil May Cry game, yes, even that one. After the new year, starting with 1 and then going up until 5 comes out.
All right.
The schedule for that is definitely not made yet, but it is a thing that is.
But it will happen.
Yeah,
More
it's a
details
thing
to
that
come.
is probably gonna slowly crawl through all of them.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I just want to plug 2 podcasts and 2 YouTube videos real quick.
Go for it.
This year, I spent a lot of time on public transit, and when I wasn't using that time to catch up on TV, I was listening to podcasts and audiobook. My 2 favorite podcasts that I haven't already spoken extensively about on the show, like I did with WordFunk, which I believe I did speak about previously, would be Blank Check with Griffin and David, which is hosted by Griffin Newman, who is an actor, and David Sims, who is the film critic for The Atlantic. This is a podcast about filmographies and about directors who had many successes in their career, or so many successes that they were given a blank check to make a movie of their choosing. And that whole podcast is fun. They examine the entire cinematic oeuvres of many famous quote-unquote auteur directors. It is a very funny and fun podcast with many guests and lots of great film talk. So if you're into cinema, listen to Blank Check. It's fantastic. And if you're into video games, I can't hesitate to say that there is a better podcast currently for video games than Let's Fight a Boss, which is hosted by John Eyepatch Wolf, Super Eyepatch Wolf, and co-hosted with Neem, who is Fall Dogs on Twitter, and Brian, who is I don't remember on social media.
Is it actually I don't remember, or do
no,
you know?
I literally do not rember his social media.
Okay.
But
Because that's a good social media tag.
But yeah, John, Neve, and Brian are very, very good boys, excluding Neve, who is a good girl. They're good. They are funny. They are good friends. They make good video game talk. They make good leftist politics talk. And they are very commendable individuals. So listen to Let's Fight a Boss. Get into it. It's great. They're all Irish. They're all funny. They all kick a bunch of ass. They all have good and sound politics. Which
and
is
that's
nice.
what we like here at GamePunx.
It honestly is, because it's so hard in video games to get people who aren't pieces of shit. And then 2 YouTube videos I'd like to plug. There is a brilliant video on bad faith criticism by YouTuber Sarah Z, who is a leftist commentary YouTuber. The video is called Bad Media Criticism, and it is very, very good, and it breaks down exactly why media criticism kind of sunk to where it is now, and why websites like CinemaSins and people like the Nostalgia Critic are bad for media criticism. So that is very good. It is a beautifully, eloquently written video. It is long. It is awesome. Another great video, a very pertinent video that relates back to us talking about Zombieland Saga and its positive representation of trans people, is a video by the Pedantic Romantic. And if you do not follow her, follow her. She is one of the best anime YouTubers ever.
It is
called
true. I second
Traps.
this.
Yeah, called Traps Don't Exist, and Here's Why. This is a video examining the history of the slur trap, the terminology, where it comes from, and why it's not
okay.
really a thing. Yeah, why it's not okay morally and ethically, and why it's also just not actually a real thing,
Mhm.
and therefore justifiably can't be called anything other than a slur. So yes, it examines the representation of trans people in Japanese fan culture, in otaku culture, and in anime and manga. And it is a very frank and beautifully constructed piece of critical media. So that is my plugs for the episode. I guess we'll leave you all with this, since this is the last episode of this year.
Yeah. Shout outs to Mello, who made the music that I had playing in the background the whole time. It's called Godzilla Relaxing Underwater Loopable. I will post it in the. I'll post a link in the YouTube video.
And oh yes, and it just sounds great.
It's It's
I
a
will
very
be
nice chill beat.
I will be posting on the Twitter and on Facebook my favorite albums of the year, just to go through more of it. And you can just look at the list and go through it and listen to them at your own leisure. And I will be, I guess, streaming stuff on Rabbit occasionally. If anybody wants to join in, I might be posting stuff on Twitter if people are willing to come and say hi and watch a couple of cartoons with me, that'd be great. And yeah, since it's the last episode of the year, have a fucking happy new year. Kick some ass.
Have a better 2019 than a 2018.
Yeah, for God's sake, please.
Please.
Please be better. Please.
Stop killing all these great creative people.
Stop fucking killing people. Stop sucking. Years, please stop sucking.
Yeah.
President of the United States, please die.
Yeah.
Please die, you old man.
Please. We beg of you.
We beg of you, please fuck off. Yeah, here's to a 2019 that doesn't suck as hard. Happy holidays if you're celebrating Christmas. Merry fucking Christmas. If you celebrated Hanukkah, past tense, happy fucking Hanukkah to you. Celebrating any other holiday of which I am not aware, I'm sorry, but happy holidays to you and yours. And you're all fucking awesome. Thank you for listening, if you've been listening. Thank you for supporting us if you've been supporting us.
Yeah.
And please continue to do so in the new year. There will be a lot more content on the way.
And it'll only get better from here.
Yes, quality-wise and otherwise.
RSS feeds. We're looking at actual mix boards. We're looking at real mics.
We're looking at putting this on real websites.
Yeah.
We're looking at trying to do shit with this podcast. It'll be fun. So hopefully we'll get that out of the way. Yeah, I think so too. So yeah, happy holidays. Happy fucking New Year's. Merry fucking Christmas.
Sleep well.
Happy Hanukkah. Yeah, and sleep well.
Humbug to all the people who hate Christmas.
Yeah, go fuck yourselves. If you don't like the holiday season, eat a dick. I know that money is tight and it sucks, but it doesn't give you an excuse to hate spending time with your friends. So
unless
go
you hate
and
your friends.
Exactly, go make something of it if you don't like it. The only person getting in the way of your enjoyment of shit like Christmas, fucking you. So go out there, do something fun, do something charitable for somebody. Go out and volunteer at a soup kitchen. Go out and pay a creator for some of their work on, Patreon. Become their patron. Go on Coffee. Drop an artist a couple cents. Just, make somebody's life a little happier.
Do everything you can. To make
make some time to see your friends that you don't get to see as often. Just make something of it so that this time of year doesn't suck to you.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what we gotta say.
Exactly. For the new year, man.
Yeah, there we go. That's New Year's resolution. Make something of yourself. Be happy. Or try to be happy, because I know it's really hard right now. But do what you can to make sure that you get by. And treat yourself and others with the respect that you know that you and other people. So yeah, there we go. Happy fucking holidays, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah, goodbye, Ebrinyan. And